former Tottenham Hotspur part owner, Alan Sugar, has called on the club to sack head coach Thomas Frank and make an ambitious move for former Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp, following Spurs' heavy 3-0 defeat at Nottingham Forest. The loss at the City Ground on Sunday extended a difficult run for Frank, who only arrived in North London from Brentford in the summer. Tottenham have now won just 2 Premier League matches at home this season and sit 11th in the table, 6 points adrift of the top 4. Forest secured victory through a Callum Hudson-Odoi double and a late goal from Ibrahim Sangare, piling further pressure on the Danish coach as frustration grows among supporters over both results and playing style. Yuga, who served as Tottenham chairman during the 1990s, believes decisive action is needed and has urged the club's owners to consider a marquee managerial appointment. With the massive fortune of the Lewis family, it would be a win-win situation if they hired Jurgen Klopp in January. Sugar wrote, "Loads of money for players and a great manager." Who agrees, however? Any such move appears highly unlikely. Klopp stepped down from his role at Liverpool at the end of the 2023-24 season after almost 9 years in charge, citing exhaustion and a desire to step away from the demands of elite management. The German has repeatedly stated he has no plans to return to coaching, particularly in England. "I said I will never coach a different team in England," Klopp said on the Diary of a CEO podcast. "That means if I return, it's Liverpool. But right now, I don't miss coaching." Sunday's defeat also brought renewed attention to Thomas Frank's relationship with defender Jed Spence. The pair were previously involved in a high-profile incident earlier in the season, when Spence and Mickey van der Ven appeared to ignore Frank following a loss to Chelsea, an episode both players later apologised for. According to BBC Sport, another flashpoint occurred against Forest, when Spence was substituted just after the hour mark, with Spurs trailing 2-0. The defender appeared to question the decision as he left the pitch. Frank introduced Ben Davies, João Palhinha, and Lucas Bergvall in a triple change. But the substitutions failed to alter the course of the match, with Sangare adding Forest's third late on. That defeat leaves Tottenham with 22 points from 11 matches, firmly in the bottom half of the Premier League table. Forest, meanwhile, moved 5 points clear of the relegation zone. Spurs winger Mohamed Kudus did not shy away from criticism after the match. "Not good enough. A very disappointing result," Kudus said. "He didn't create enough today, including myself. We need more effort in our all-round game." He added, "To win in the Premier League is very difficult. We lacked consistency and rushed decisions. We have to pick it up and focus on the next game." Tottenham now face a daunting run of fixtures, starting with a home meeting against Liverpool on Saturday, followed by London derbies away at Crystal Palace and Brentford. With pressure mounting from former executives, sections of the fan base, and results on the pitch, the coming weeks could prove decisive in determining whether Thomas Frank is afforded time to turn Spurs' season around, or whether calls for change grow too loud to ignore. When Mohamed Kudus first arrived at Tottenham Hotspur in the summer, expectations were high, but not overwhelmingly so. Spurs had signed a talented, versatile attacker with a proven Premier League pedigree, but few predicted just how quickly he would become one of the most influential wide forwards in European football. 6 months later, Kudus has done more than settle, he has exploded. Under the guidance of head coach Thomas Frank, the 25-year-old Ghana international has evolved from an admired dribbler with raw output into a multi-dimensional attacking force. With electrifying acceleration, improved decision-making, and a new level of tactical responsibility, Kudus has emerged as a central figure in Tottenham's top 4 push and Champions League campaign. This is the story of how Thomas Frank, the analytical, detail-obsessed Dane, known for building systems that elevate individuals, has helped Kudus find a new gear, a new role, and a new level of stardom. And it is a story that features twists: Chelsea's failed chase, West Ham's missteps, Spurs' bold move, and the statistical dominance that now places Kudus among Europe's elite. Chelsea's long-running pursuit. The Kudus story cannot be told without examining the clubs that didn't sign him. Chelsea had tracked the winger for more than a year. In fact, by the summer of 2023, the player's agent Jennifer Mendelowicz confirmed that personal terms had been agreed with the Blues. The deal, however, collapsed late in negotiations. Kudus went on to join West Ham, a move seen at the time as a coup for the Hammers, especially given the wider Premier League interest. West Ham offer Kudus to Chelsea again. Fast forward to June 2024. West Ham, knowing Kudus had an £85 million release clause, offered the winger to Chelsea once more. Talks between the clubs occurred, but no official offer followed. By this point, Chelsea's focus had drifted toward younger, less expensive attackers. Kudus, admired yet again but not decisively pursued, slipped through their fingers for the second time. Spurs step in with conviction. Tottenham acted differently. They showed intent, precision, clarity. Thomas Frank, newly appointed as Spurs head coach, identified Kudus as a player who could thrive in his system, a positionally flexible, high-intensity winger with the technical craft to break lines and dominate 1v1 situations. Unlike Chelsea, Spurs didn't hesitate. They negotiated with urgency, met West Ham's terms, and secured Kudus on a long-term deal running until June 2031. It was one of the most assertive moves of Tottenham's recent transfer history, and one that would quickly pay dividends. 3. Thomas Frank's vision, a player made for modern football. Frank's admiration for Kudus. Before coaching him directly, Frank had already studied Kudus extensively. The Ghanaian's take on numbers, his progressive carries, his ability to destabilise defensive blocks, these matched everything Frank values in an attacking player. Behind the scenes, Spurs insiders said, Frank saw Kudus as the perfect hybrid between a winger and a midfielder. He fits every principle Frank wants in his front there. The tactical role at Brentford, Frank had built a reputation for crafting intelligent, adaptable systems. At Spurs, he applied the same methodology. For Kudus, Frank envisioned a winger comfortable attacking the half space, a wide forward who could invert into midfield, a pressing trigger in Spurs' aggressive defensive structure, a transitional weapon capable of carrying Spurs 30 to 40 metres upfield, a creator from wide areas, not just a dribbler. This was not a traditional touchline winger role. Frank wanted Kudus to operate in pockets, draw defenders out of structure, and create numerical superiority in central zones. It was, in short, a role that maximised his strengths and minimised his weaknesses. The numbers behind Kudus's rise. Kudus's statistical profile this season has placed him in the elite bracket of European wingers. Premier League output: 14 Premier League appearances, 2 goals, 5 assists, second only to Bruno Fernandes, 45 successful take-ons, most in the league. The gap between Kudus and the next highest dribbler, Yankuba Minthy, stands at 9, a significant margin in a category normally tightly contested. Europe-wide comparisons. Since the start of last season, Kudus has completed 137 take-ons, the third most across Europe's Big Five leagues. Only Lamine Yamal, 224, Jeremy Doku, 152. Mohamed Kudus and Thomas Frank fit together because their strengths complement each other. Kudus brings raw talent, Frank brings structure. Kudus brings unpredictability, Frank brings clarity. Kudus brings 1 versus 1 dominance. Frank adds systemised efficiency. Together they have turned a promising winger into a continental threat and Tottenham into a team with renewed belief. Kudus's rise is not an accident. It is the result of careful recruitment, intelligent coaching, and a player finally finding an environment that maximises his gifts.